Welcome to Take Another Look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo with a genuine conversation about what's missing from the human connection. Let's join Melanie and Gerda now.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Take Another Look with your hosts, Melanie Taddeo Malo, and
Guerdah Felix.
we are here today for another deep dive into a conversation that could be uncomfortable. Gerda, what is our topic about today?
We're talking about one of my favorite subjects. We're talking about the self.
The self. Wow. Okay, so getting to know who we are. Self. So for me, what does self mean? So self means who I am as a person inside and out. What are my likes and dislikes? What are my qualities, attributions, and possibly some of my weaknesses? Really getting a real look at who I am as a whole. How about you, Gerda? What does self mean to you?
Self to me is, as you said, and for me, this is the essence of who I am. What are the different composite parts of me? My emotions, my spirit, my mind, everything that compose who I am. To me, this is the self. And it is important to find out, who am I? Not only once in my lifetime, but always, because it is a journey.
But why do you feel it's so important for us to understand who we are?
Well, to start with, if we don't know and understand who we are, someone will mold us to who they want us to be.
And we definitely don't want that to happen.
Exactly. And this is very important to understand, because when we don't know who we are, we are left to everybody to tell us who they want us to be. They will definitely mold us.
I have this envision in my head of a slab of clay, Gerda, just sitting there waiting. And the option is we get to shape it ourselves to who we are, or a stranger is going to come along and shape it for us.
Well, this is what I believe. I believe that we were created with a set of gifts and talents. And we also had an imprint when we were created with the spirit, with our spirit within us. That's my belief. Mm-hmm. The essence of who we truly are. And as we grow in life, as we are on our journey, we discover bits and pieces of that essence of who we are. So that's what I believe. What about you?
I agree too. And I think that the self-discovery is an exciting journey. But so many people are like, well, how do I do that? How do I really dive in and see who I really am? Is there some steps that people can really take a look at and find out for themselves?
Yes.
Can you share them? So, Gerda, how do we start to discover who we are when we're examining ourselves? What's the process? What are some tips?
Well, Melanie, I believe that every experience that we go through is calling us to be conscious, to pay attention, to understand, and to know who we are. Every experience, whether good or bad, but we learn more from the not so good experiences, because it is painful. And because of that, that's why we learn more if we pay attention. And that's how I believe that we get to understand who we are.
That
So
makes so much sense. Yes, definitely, because that's when we're uncomfortable. It's a wake-up call.
yes, it is. And through this call, we will experience different stages. Let's say something is happening in my life right now that is making me feel very uncomfortable. And although I want to continue to do the same thing that I've been doing for a long time, but there is something inside of me that is making me feel very, very uncomfortable. If I continue to do the same thing and expect different results, then it's going to drive me crazy.
Mhm. Insanity.
Yes. So usually when I am faced with such challenges, moments, I start with resistance. I start to resist. And resistance shows up in different ways. It could be to resist, and also there's the denial part as well. We deny our feelings when we go through this moment. So, for example, if something is going wrong and I feel uncomfortable about it, I might say, well, maybe I'm not being thankful enough. So let me be thankful, and then everything will go fine. We'll be fine after that. And then I realized, no, it's still the same uncomfortable feeling. So I am at the part or the step or stage of resistance and denial. That's usually the first step. What would you say?
This is the biggest thing. I think right off the bat, whenever we're doing any self-reflection, we don't want to look at anything that isn't good about ourselves. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So resistance and denial are like the go-to things right off the bat, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And, as you said that, and I was thinking, but what if we see everything that is happening as it happening for us, for our own evolution, for our own growth, for our own better experience? If we see it this way, would we then judge it less? Would denial be less? Would resistance be less? If we know that what's happening right now in this moment, it is there to communicate something to me, and it is there to reveal something to me. But if I say, well, I shouldn't feel this way, or I don't have anything to complain about, because we say that a lot about ourselves, and then we push down the cries of our heart.
Right. So it's just a matter of changing the way we look at things, to take another look from a different perspective.
Exactly.
The mindset.
Exactly.
Okay, I love it.
So,
okay.
When we are past that stage of resistance, of denial, and just so you know, I am the queen of resistance. So for me, usually take me a little bit longer. When we are past that stage, we get to the stage of awareness. That's where our own repressed emotions are brought to the surface. This is not a pleasant stage, but it is better than resisting or denying our true feelings.
This would be a vulnerable stage, I would think, with being bombarded with the actual feelings that we're feeling, the emotions.
Yes.
But so important.
Yes. Yes, you are totally right. It is. It is, because the emotions that we have repressed for so long, and now they are coming back up. And one thing to know is that emotions do not come in a pretty package one at a time. It's not the way they come. They usually come in a group of emotions. So as we are being aware of all of them, yes, it can be hard. But when we've learned, as we've learned in meditation, to sit and observe, we are able to understand even more the emotions that are coming up for us. And the third part or stage, now we've come to identification. Because at this point, we've had mustered enough courage to confront, if it is such a word, to confront our emotional issues, to truly understand what is going on, what has made me do what I've done forever, what are my patterns, and you start to understand what they are. So you identify. You become aware first, and then you would then identify yourself with who you truly are, which is, for myself, I believe that since I am a child of God, I am also a spiritual being because I am made in the likeness and in the image of God. So the true identification starts there. Can you tell us, in a way, a part of your life where perhaps that has happened to you, Melanie?
For me, what I'm thinking, for years I struggled with my weight, always. Okay. And everybody goes on diets, I gotta lose weight, gotta do this, gotta be healthy, I gotta exercise. But by being aware of the patterns, as you were talking about, and identifying what those patterns are and why they're happening, then you can address the underlying issues. And I haven't got there yet, Garrett, I'll be honest. When I get there, I will have this aha moment. So this is why this discussion is so important. But I really feel that for me, when I was coping with dealing with my vision loss, I had to identify with who the new Melanie was, because I was a completely different person. And so the awareness acceptance stage was huge for me, because then it's like, okay, so if I now am a woman who happens to be legally blind, what does this mean? So it almost gave me the freedom and the permission to be who I am.
Yes,
and it's a wonderful thing. So yeah,
it is,
but it's wonderful. Yes.
Yes. And I think that also happens after each separation, things that you had to let go of, people who've let go of you. In terms of this, it happens because at one point, let's say that you were in a relationship and the person says, you know what, this is not working, I'm going my own way. And, you do. In a sense, we feel like we are being rejected. And with that rejection that we are feeling, we give it many types of meanings. It could be because, well, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel pretty enough. There's many things we may not feel. But once we are in the stage of identification, then we realize, well, who are you really?
Yeah.
And if I know that I am, let's say for me, okay, so how do I identify myself? I can tell you, after what happened last year with George Floyd, I identify myself more now as a Black woman. Before, I never did that. Isn't it interesting?
It is, because, whether, there was emotions or the process you went through with all the experiences and the feelings that you probably had surfaced during watching or witnessing what was happening with George Floyd, that would bring up a lot of things you would have to deal with. And so how did that shift of understanding that's how you are going to identify happen for you, though?
It's so interesting because for me, when I say I've never identified myself as a Black woman, I don't mean to say that I don't know that I am.
No, of course, yes,
a Black woman. What I mean is this was not my first thought about myself, because everywhere I go, I go very freely, and I still do to this day. But then I came to realize that not everyone will view me as an equal person because of the color of my skin. I think I have become a little bit more aware of this. Because
So,
before, when I say freely, I go anywhere, and I never thought of this. And even though, I've heard people say, I went to a store, and as soon as Black people come in and they follow us. And I used to say, when people say that to me, well, didn't you see that they were following us? I used to say, well, they're supposed to follow me. I need them to give me good service. That's the way I would see it.
yeah.
But I would have never saw it like as they're thinking that I was, because I'm Black, I was going to do something bad.
Mm-hmm.
But now, after what I've experienced, I've witnessed, I'm a little bit more cautious in terms of that, because I know not everybody sees me as their equal.
Mm. Wow, that's powerful stuff. So, okay, so we identified, then what's next?
And then after that, it's expansion.
Growth.
Because
I love
this
it.
is this is the stage where the old paradigms start to shift. The limiting and negative beliefs, what I used to think that were negative, they shift. Now they're no longer the same. I begin to discreate what was old and realize what no longer serves me. It's a new mindset.
It's a new beginning almost. It's the recreation of who you want to be or who you actually are after deep reflection.
Yes. Yes. And in expansion, we start to experience transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I begin to take responsibility for my own self, meaning that I respond with my own abilities, meaning that I no longer blame anyone. I am very powerful in who I am. I am aware and conscious of what I do, what I did, and what I do in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
I do not play the role or play the game of shame, blame, and victim,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm no longer there. And by taking responsibility for who I am and responding with my own abilities, I have become powerful.
Like the stage or development. I know it's not necessarily a stage, but I like this thought on the journey.
Mm-hmm. 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 And once I am, and that's why when people say, for example, when people say something like, you know what, I hate this, or I hate where I am today. And I usually say, yay, congratulations, this is a great place to be. This is what I say. Because by recognizing that there's something you don't like, there's something that does not serve you, you are able to make changes.
Exactly.
And for me, when people tell me this is always what I say. And I know they look at me funny when I say that, but it's true, because now that means that you can change. You are no longer continue to say, well, it's not my fault, it's my parents' fault, it's my sister's fault. No longer.
Take responsibility.
Because now you can make new decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Which will bring you to self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in that stage, this is how I feel. And I talk about stage, really, they all intertwine, okay? But when you feel this way, for me, I feel like I can give blessings, and at the same time, I can remove and cut what does not serve me. I can do both at the same time. It's a flow.
Absolutely. And I think at this stage or point in our journey, we can recognize what works for us and what does not because of who we have become. And we can clean house, as we say, toxic or loving. Toxic or cut later.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And in a way, it's a very fun part because I can say, no, this does not work, without feeling that I have to give any explanation
Yeah.
without feeling that I have to give you any excuses or, to say anything to convince. No trying to convince anybody, because this is not about anybody else. This is about me.
Yes.
And then we start to create. We create the new. We create the beautiful. We create everything from the vision that we have for us.
Mm-hmm.
When I did my project on creating the vision, this is it. Because in creating the vision, we are learning something new and we are walking toward the vision. And we know how to do step 1, step 2, step 3, because we are creating something beautiful.
I envision a blank canvas for us just waiting to develop or create something beautiful. That's awesome.
Yes.
Now, there's no set time all these steps or stages will take. It's a journey, as we said over and over again, but they don't always happen exactly in that way. It comes as sporadic, right? And like you said before, the emotions sometimes come all at once.
It's like sometimes the tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
Or here is the way I could describe it even better. If anybody has seen Spider-Man, and I can't remember if it's the second or the third one, where there was this black liquid goo that was put on his costume.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point he's trying to remove it, and he's trying to remove it and it's coming back, trying to remove it and it's coming back. Well, going through a transformation and learning and understanding who you are feels exactly like that.
Yeah. And it's a great analogy, because I think in our mind, we think, okay, we have to follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But the reality is we don't necessarily have a roadmap. It's a journey. So similarly, if you're on a road trip, you may want to take a stop here or check out this place and find out. And so it's at your own pace, but yet one that you need to take along the way yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But Guerdah,
Exactly.
This journey can be so emotional and can be so really exhausting. What is important for us to do while we do this process?
That's where self-love comes in, because yes, it is a very it's painful, it's beautiful, it's going to look and call and do different things to you, and it's a beautiful journey, because we know that to get everything that is beautiful, there's an amount of cleaning that we have to do. There's an amount of bending, of shaping that we have to do. And this is what happened in this, journey to become better, to become who we were created to be. This is what happened. It is no different than anything else.
I would think it's
Sorry, I was going to say that in the midst of all this, it is important that we do not judge ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to observe, to notice, and all of this done in love. Because love will move you forward, as judgment will keep you glued in fear.
That's powerful, Guerdah. I would also think that maybe having a confident or very good friend that won't judge you either, but at least you could celebrate the progress and share what you're going through with would be something good to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe it is important to have a very good friend or a network of people that you can go to who will listen to you, who will acknowledge you, who will pour love into you. One of one of the exercises that I like to do, especially when I see people going through a hard time or questioning time in their life, I like to send them either by email or by text what I love about you. And I give them a list of things I love about them. And that's my way to remind them of who they are.
Oh, that's so nice. And, I'm sure that helps in this time, because they're probably questioning themselves as they do this self-discovery and really going, well, and then to hear that would just keep you going, it would motivate you to keep going.
Absolutely. One time, my friend Michelle, she's done that for me. And since that time, that's what I do to people when I see they are going through a moment of questioning. And I know it's a tough moment to be. And that's why I like to, tell them, reflect back to them who they truly are. Wow. Look at the time.
Already? Oh, good. One last quick point before we wrap it up.
Okay.
So after we discover who we are in this journey we embark on, let's call it, it's not a closed case. It can evolve over time, right?
Always.
It should be ongoing.
Yeah, always. Yes, it's not a one-time thing.
Okay, this is so powerful. And I encourage our audience to really take some time. We are very big on self-reflection because it's helped us out. Not for everybody, some people, they keep a journal, other people just have conversations, whatever works for you. Take some time and really look at who you are and ask yourself the questions. Can these stages or spots on your journey, on the road trip that you're on and called life, help you in going deeper, having those uncomfortable conversations with yourself to find out who you are and what your greatness is, your abilities, your talents, and gifts that you've been given to share with the world. Because once you start with yourself, then the opportunities are endless to how you can give to the world. Guerdah, your thoughts?
Absolutely. I believe that, yes, the journey starts with the self, with you, your essence, who you are, finding all that out, learn to love and appreciate you. And then after that, you start to welcome other people who are similar to you so that you can do greater things. Because we know that if we want to be on purpose, we need to surround ourselves with people who are like-minded to move us toward the purpose that we know we are supposed to, whatever we know we're supposed to do.
Guerdah, you always lead to such another great topic that we will share for another episode. So until next time, I'm your host, Melanie Tadamalo, and we've been joined with my co-host,
Guerdah Felix.
And we will be back with you on Take Another Look next time. Until then.
Until then, bye-bye.